I am MASP, and today we are looking at the portfolio of Chris David from Chris David Photography. He liked us on the Facebook page, he subscribed on YouTube, so I really wanted to jump into his portfolio, lickety-split, make sure I gave some constructive feedbacks here. So the way I'd like to arrange it today, also check in the description or wherever so that you can find him on Model Mayhem, hire him, he's fantastic. I believe he's out in Australia, so if you're in North America, it might be a little tough to find him and hire him, but that is okay. So, wanted to start off with the things that I think might want to start to weed out of your portfolio, and then in the second half here, focus on the things that I think are your strong points and that you might want to start building up even more in your portfolio. So a couple of goes, couple of stays. For this one here, I think the posing just isn't quite right for it. It looks a little bit too posed, like too much effort is being made and doesn't really have that natural feeling. There is that Valencia effect that I noted in the little tagline for the image here that I don't think works as well directionally with the actual light that's coming into the scene. So for me, this image isn't one that I would be keeping around, even though the color is beautiful and the model looks lovely in it. It's nothing to do with that, but I know you have more natural and more striking images that work a little bit better. The same general thing here, just it feels a little bit too posed, and the arm on the left side of the frame just feels limp and a little bit stiff and wooden. Although the hair is really nice, I like what they did there, and wardrobe, very nicely polished, the lighting is great, but I think we really want to look at expression and posing, and if either one of those just doesn't feel quite right or quite natural, then the image at the stage you're at isn't a keeper anymore. If you were kind of just beginner level and you didn't have other stronger images, then that wouldn't necessarily hold true, and this might be a keeper for you at that stage, but not so much anymore. This one more so because of the expression. Like, I like what's happening. It's almost mannequin perfect, and once again, you got the wardrobe, you got the hair, beautiful light, so you're doing things technically very well, but that expression and that feeling of just like a stiffness and a mannequin stiffness just doesn't quite work perfectly here. More so the expression, but same general reason. There's a later image that I think you got this vibe right, but here it just doesn't seem to have a place. It doesn't seem like this is a situation that should be happening. For this picture, I wanted to focus more on really focusing on posing. Although I think in the processing, she looks a little bit smooth, a little too auto-tuned on the smoothing. But a pose that would elongate her stomach, kind of leaning back, arching the back, would take out the folds that appear in her stomach. She's obviously very skinny, but you put somebody in a position of that nature and even the skinniest person is going to look foldy in the midsection. So you just want to make sure you're posing people to accentuate their positives and not bring out things that could be negatives. Same thing here, I think a pose with the body turned to the side but the face still turning back towards camera would thin out the midsection for the model, who isn't large, but just because she's photographed flat onto the camera and I think the perspective was low, so her midsection was closest to the camera, it just doesn't appear as flattering. Here I was looking more at the processing. I like what's going on in general here. But just the processing in this area causes a bit of gradient that just doesn't seem to come off as natural or effective. So really it's more of a post-processing issue here. Also, there's a skin softening that looks like it's applied that takes away the angle of the jaw. So the neck and the jaw and then the cheek all become one kind of entity there. And it usually is more flattering to have a defined jawline because it makes people look a little bit more angular and cut, and there's something to fix your eye on, and it can be very lovely. So I think watching on your post-processing, making sure the details are taken care of there. I do like the way the vignette falls off, and I really like that blue to mauve and how it works with the lightning bolt, kind of Bowie style. All very nice. I think just kind of paying attention to the detail there more on the post-process. This one I bring up as an example because in a second I'm going to show the picture that I really love underwater, and knowing that you've taken that other fantastic picture and a couple of other really great underwater pictures, this picture just doesn't need to be in your portfolio because it didn't work out quite as well. And then lastly, for the not so keepers, this image here has similar issues with the post work, where I really like the color, the green and the pales and the yellows, just really nice. But we have that softness, which makes the neck and the jaw and the cheek one thing. And then it looks like it blends up into the hairline, so the hair gets skin smudged, and then it just all kind of melds together. So I think just a little bit more attention to detail on your post work there, and that'll look really sharp, because color wise and light wise, even on these images that I don't think are your keepers so much, they're very strong in terms of color and light and wardrobe. Very, very nice. But the reason that I think those ones might not be your keepers is mainly because you have some really, really good other images. So this, although brown, I know a lot of people aren't super into that for their pictures, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It goes so well with her hair. You have the tree, which brings in nice textural changes. And then once again, you've really got the light down. I love the catch light in the eye. I like the way that the post-processing is done. It doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't feel automatic. And comes across as very natural. They have that good separation from the background where it's kind of soft in this section, but detailed in this section. And then in between, you have the focus of the picture. Absolutely beautiful. Now this picture, I think, does a better job of capturing that mood that you'd be trying to get in the other picture you had of a girl on a bike. I mean, if you're gonna do that kind of bike scene, beautiful girl thing, then this is the way for it to be done. It looks absolutely stunning. I really love how this came together, and knowing that you have this, there's no reason for me to see that other one. Now for the next image here, you have another one directly after this, where I would say, for me, series that are almost identical but like little things are off, and then you stack them up in 3 vertically, I don't think that's necessarily the way to go. I would just say pick the winner. For me, this is your winner. You have direct eye contact on top here, the nice parting of the lips, nice change of color, it's dynamic, makes you kind of connect with it. So let me roll you up here, maybe a little smaller. So I would just show that. And the same thing for this next one. I mean, these are all very nice pictures, but when I look at this set of 4, I look at this one. It's very graphic, it's just kind of exploding, but it's so small. And it would be so small because you have to stack them in 4. So just don't show the other 3 and focus on this one, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Like, the pose is interesting, that background really is something that not everybody will have in their portfolio. Your light work is great. I mean, this is very nice. I would definitely have the larger version of this as opposed to just zooming in on a JPEG like I did, so it'll look nice and pixelated and not so fantastic. But just having the original up, this would be the one out of those 4 I would show. Here, I just think there's so many things that you're doing well. The only thing that I dislike in this picture is the shadow from, what's the proper word, trestle of hair? That just sounds painful. The shadow from her hair in this area here makes it look like her face is kind of peeling off. So, still fixable in post, just doing a frequency separation and then doing some dodging and burning, and you can make that blend in rather nicely. But everything else about this picture I think is wonderful. It kind of has that Hollywood glamour 1940s black and white type of a vibe, but obviously updated and sharper because those would be very soft focus technology. But absolutely wonderful. The only other thing I might do is bring down with a dodge and burn job a little bit of the highlight here because it looks very separated. Also could be taken care of in part with the frequency separation just so you don't have such a harsh transition. But that's about it. This is an absolutely wonderful picture. I really do like that. Here, I think this is nice because it's a connection with the model. It's very direct, and once again, it just kind of falls in the ballpark of being slightly different from what everybody else has in their portfolio. I would say in your post work, if you did a selective color for the magenta in his skin, and then you could paint it in with a layer mask and just kind of dim down some of that redness that's here. Also, might just want to do a gradient downwards to kind of bring a little darkness here so that it really makes the face not have too much competition with the lightness here and then that little guy hanging off on the edge of the frame. But other than some slightly different cropping and a little bit more dodge burn work, I think this is a wonderful picture. And probably my favorite, just that mixture of textures again. It's modern. I think here that posing feels like it works a lot better than it did in those other pictures that I was pointing out in the beginning. It just, with her form and she's lanky and long, it just really works nicely. Her angles and long arms kind of bring out the structures in the background, but we have that physical separation of the fence. It's wonderful. Once again, a little bit brown, and I like that. Not everybody's gonna like the exact same color palette, but with her clothing, I can't think that anybody would argue that this was a proper choice to make. So fantastic job there again. Here, your skin softening work actually works really well with the picture, and it's a very direct connection once again, which I think is great. She's filling the frame, and then that play of the cheetahs or leopards eyes kind of meeting you but not noticing it's meeting you, along with her just kind of staring you down. Absolutely beautiful. The colors really work and really pop in this, and then her eyes are just really burning into you. Fantastic. Same thing here. I like the work that's getting the glow out of her irises. You didn't overdo the whites of the eyes or anything like that, so that's very nice. I think for me, sorry, zoom on in, I would just go in and post and clean up that little bit of redness there and just kind of define the lip line a little bit better, but that's because I'm ultra picky about things, and that would just bother me to no end if it were mine. But really, that's nitpicky. This is great. Very nice light. It's dramatic. I like that you've accepted that there's shadow. Like most people, when they're doing this type of work, will overfill the shadow because I guess people think shadows are terrible. But really, that's where the soul of the picture is. Now, and even here, there isn't that highlight across here with a hair light that really makes her pop off of it. And for me, that's a good decision. You could try it either way, but I really do like the way that you've put that together. Let's see. This is the water image that I think means that other water image just shouldn't be seen, because this is absolutely fantastic. Like, this could be seen on walls a lot of places, and people would be very happy to see that. So this one, and you know that you have other images in your portfolio that are like this one, and I think they are keepers. But just being very picky about what you show, what you're not showing. Just gonna run through a couple extra. Really beautiful. I mean, I might straighten up the angles so that these boards aren't leaning kind of this way, but other than that, very nice. Beautiful work to photograph a horse. I don't know how difficult it is to photograph a horse, but I know people like it when they see horses photographed, so bravo on that. I really love the effort that's being put into makeup, to accessories, to detail work, and then you polish it off nicely with your lighting. Nobody can complain about this. really beautiful, great connection, and bravo on all of the keeper images. I really love what you're doing. I would just say look through. If a pose seems like you really are posing, or if a face just looks strained, like somebody is trying to laugh or trying to have an expression but it just doesn't come off, then just drop it. I mean, you can keep it for you and look at it and learn from it, but I would just trim down all the things that aren't 10 out of 10 and show your 10 out of 10. And then as you keep on adding pictures, your current 10s out of 10s will become 8s out of 10s, and then they go. And then eventually you'll just get to some supreme being level of Super Saiyan goodness. Well, thank you very much for submitting your work, and I'm gonna keep looking at your work because I really love what you're doing. And make sure you fire off more messages in the future. And to everybody else, make sure you show your work. You can go to www.maspblog.com, and I think on the About page, there's a way for you to get in touch with me. Show me what you got. I like to see it. And yeah, catch you on the next one. Thanks so much.